I'm Bud Matlock, a software developer for QSA Enterprises, and we are going to talk about backup catalogs. Back in the early days, when I started, before virtual tape, before tape libraries, and before labeled tape, the backup catalog was backup listings, printed on green bar paper, in binders, and in binder carts. The tapes were cataloged on tape racks. Not very secure. Then we got labeled tapes, which allowed us to put the expiration and other fields on the tape itself using a tape catalog when you ran your backups. So after labeled tapes, we started getting backup catalogs. DSMTC is the backup catalog supported by HPE. It is an SQL database consisting of two general catalogs. There's a volume catalog. The volume catalog contains pools, tape pools, and the tape pools contain tape volume records. Catalogs, you need at least one. You can have more. These are ours. They specifies where the catalog is located, who owns it, and the security, and little else. Within the catalogs, they contain the pools, and you must have at least one pool per catalog. You can have more, and in that, it gets more specific. Label type, density, if you're doing that. Device type, tape device type, and a couple of other items. Within the volume catalog are the tape records. They must match the pool and the device type. And when they're in use, this is the information you get for the tape volumes. To create a volume catalog, use a create command in MediaCom. Create the volcat name, its location, owner, and security. Once you have that, you can add pools to the volume catalog. So you add your pool, the pool name. You have to tell it the volume catalog and whether you want to append on and the other options for your pools, which will determine what kind of tapes are in the pool. Adding the tape volume, it's a little more wordy. Tape volume name, what pool's in, what volume catalog the pool is in, how many tapes you're going to create with sequential numbers, label type, status scratch, device type. Then we get to file catalogs, which is where we store the disk files that were backed up. File catalog contains tape files, which are the backup records. Tape files contains disk files, which are the disk file records that are in the backup. File catalog, same as the volume catalog, it's just a place where you're going to deposit your backups. One or more of these with the location, owner, and security. Within the file catalog, you have tape files. Each tape file and version is a backup. And within the tape files, it gives you the information about the backup, when it was backed up, when it expires, the tape media that was used and where to find that. And you get the disk volumes, or the disk files. And each of those is the file backed up. Tells you what file catalog, tape file generation, and backup time. Detail gives us more information about the disk file and the media where it was stored and where you can find that. Creating the file cat is the same as creating the volume catalog. Give it a name, a sub-volume where it's going to be placed, who's going to own it, and the security of that catalog. To create the tape files and disk files, you must run a backup. And the DSMTC subsystem creates those items. To do that, you have to create a tape catalog define with your various options. You have to tell it what file catalog you're using. The file ID name is the same as the tape file name. Label type, the pool name where the tape volume will come from, and the volume catalog where the pool is located. Volume scratch lets DSMTC select the scratch tape, and this is the backup syntax, or at least a simple backup syntax. So we've had to do some work with DSMTC, and we thought there must be an easier way to deal with that without all the typing. And we've already had a GUI for QTOS, which is our backup catalog. So we just adopted that to do DSMTC functions. So see, we have file cats, tape files, and disk files, and volume catalogs, pools, and tape volumes, and the media defs to define your defaults. And it also can examine the TMF database to list dumps, tape volumes, and disk files where you can restore from TMF as well as from DSMTC. And we have a tape drive monitor that gives you a real-time view of the activity of the tape drives. So, it is also menu driven. So as an example, we're going to click on tape files. Up pops search tape files, and we will click on that, and the search tape file screen comes up. And I've decided to list all of the backups run in October, and I apparently forgot there's 31 days in October. So click search, and we don't do a lot of them. And these are all the backups. This is the tape file name, the generation, file cats, what date it was dumped, whether files were backed up, the pool, and the volume. So since we only have one backup that we catalog the files, we're going to right click on that, and we have our menu come up. We can do various things, but we're going to search the disk files on that backup. So with the search disk file screen, it fills in all the information that is available from that line for that backup. And we want to list all the disk files that were backed up that start with the characters QTOS. So search, and we found 61 records. And I'm going to select four of these, 4 QTOS objects, and right click, and I'm going to restore those files. We have a restore disk files screen. These are all point and click. Any data that needs to be added, such as in the vol command, a window pops up so you can type that in. We also store selections. I'm using my profile called Bud by Tug. So we have these items that were selected. Vol, we're going to restore it to $data04 BUDDMATL. And our tape file and generation are listed in here already, so you don't have to remember from the screen. Let's start restore. That was fast, wasn't it? And this is the listing, the restore listing. pops up in this window. You can print it or just confirm that everything worked okay without having to look in the spooler to find it. And the restore is complete. Oh, forgot. The tape drive monitor is here too. So this is a still, of just a screenshot. But at the time this restore was running, it just showed the mount request, the mount, this line here where it was in use, and then it disappears when the restore is over. So I had mentioned QTOS previously, and the GUI looks really familiar. In QTOS, instead of using the Guardian security, we do user security, and we secure by function instead of just deciding if you're super or not. So, same kind of database, except we use nscribe, so there's no catalog. So for our tape volumes, we use vaults, which is the same as a pool. Within the vault, we have tape volume records. So here's our vaults that we're using. Fizz for our physical drive, Terry for and Test for in-house virtual tape pools. And just as within DSMTC, these are just there to separate tape volumes. Our tape volumes, this is for the Vault Terry, volume, status, label type, usual stuff. These are in use, and these are the data sets and versions and dates they were backed up. Data set is what we call, well, the same as what DSMTC calls a tape file. So within our data set, we have disk file records for the files that were backed up. And with our data sets, we have a master data set, or version 0, which is a backup, holds all the backup properties. So it's really a backup profile. And instead of having to pull our information in from a define, it just all comes from the database. So each of these data sets, they're all masters, has a label type that's using security group. As I mentioned before, our security is internal, and each of these security groups are linked to a Guardian ID, so that whenever we do need Guardian security, we have it. Node retention, we do indefinite by version, by months, by days, years. The date created, number of versions that are in this master data set, and the vault where it's going to pull its tapes from. The version data sets, we just have a couple here. And we're going to keep 10 versions, so when we reach 10 versions, we're going to start deleting the oldest one. And this is all the information from a version data set. So it's a Guardian backup, because we do Guardian and BR2 for OSS and SQLMX. Label type, all the general information. Down here at the bottom, we have the backup command that was used to initiate the backup, and the summary information from the backup listing. And, well, I guess I should mention, this is menu driven, the same as our QTCO, we call it Taco. Our Taco GUI. So I just decided not to go through all that again, but it works exactly the same way. So these are disk files. There are, I retrieved 915 of them, and near the slime bar here, you can retrieve records until you fill up your PC. So there's no limit to this other than that. These are the data sets used. for that where you can find these files, what the version number, what volume, and the detail for these disk files. Pretty much the same. It's where you can find it, and information about the disk files you would get from a file info or a FUP info. So creating the database in QTOS, you say we have a lot more going on than just tapes and disk, but I'm not going to go over everything right now because we're just doing the general idea. We also do TMF. To add a vault, screen pops up. Vault ID is required, as well as one of virtual IDs or virtual library, silo or local or offsite. One of these is necessary. Everything else is optional. You hit add. Can't see it behind the screen, but the one I just added is right here. I right click and you can menu item is add tapes. So if it comes up, filling out the vault ID, the label type for that vault, click on scratch, give it a tape volume name and number of tapes to add, and add. So now we're over on the disk side. We're adding data sets. On this one, I don't know why I hid these guys. I right-clicked on this one, whatever it was, and said add like this. So it pops up the dataset add window with all the options filled in, the same as the one that's highlighted here, with the exception of the dataset name. So I would just fill in the dataset name, change any of these options that I wanted to, and click add. And the same as in DSMTC, the version datasets and the disk file records are added when you do a backup. So in our case, we use QTOS-COM, which is the line mode interface to QTOS, issue a backup command. Syntax is exactly the same as backup, with the exception of we give it a dataset name. So I want to start my backup using information from the dataset bud test. And the asterisk here says I'm just going to let the system decide what tape drive. So asterisk means use AVR, or you can put your tape drive name in there. Or if you're doing external defines, which you're allowed to do, you would put that in there. So we're going to do a restore, and in this case, since we've already done a restore using the Taco Guardian restore, it would look the exact same way on QTOS. So we're going to restore an OSS file or OSS objects. So we're going to do a disk file search, give it what we're looking for, what OSS objects we're looking for, find OSS files, and search. And it brings up our objects. And in this case, I right-clicked on Bison because I liked it. And I guess I'm short of screen. So I did that and said restore. Up comes the restore OSS and SQLMX objects, filled in the dataset name, version, DSN ID, and out file, and filled in our syntax down here as it currently stands. Once again, point and click, and we do profiles on this also. But I wanted to send this out to another location, so I configure OSS objects, added my target location here, and I can have this would also get filled in if I used a profile. And so I dragged it over to here, and I got my target down here. I just clicked on these guys. I have my syntax, so there's my restore. and start restore. And just like the Guardian in Taco, we have the listing up on its own window, and you can judge from that whether your restore was successful or not. Or you don't have to use that if you know the syntax, and you can just type it in qtoscom restore to, give it the dataset name. I gave it the version number, but you don't have to. And then the OSS or the BR2 syntax. Well, that's it for our trip down backup land. Thanks for watching. You can see some live, well, not live, but recorded demos on our website, www.qsa.com. You can drop us a line at info@qsa.com. We can schedule demos. We can send you a demo copy. So once again, thanks for watching.